Unfortunately, at the beginning of today's show, as we have done so many times of recent note, I do have to turn my attention and our attention to Gaza. And I would like to talk about the massacre of basically an entire bureau of Al Jazeera journalists in Gaza City yesterday, the most prominent of which is Anas al-Sharif, who was assassinated along with his whole crew yesterday in Gaza by Israel. I won't belabor any of the absurd calumnies, levied against him to justify his murder or that of his crew. I won't belabor the continued silence and just sort of total turning of the back by every Western journalist about the ongoing mass murder of their colleagues, provided they are Palestinian and it's Israel doing the killing. But I would like to begin the show by reading basically his final will and testament. If these words reach you, Israel has succeeded in killing you. This is something that he wrote in June, just a few months ago. And I would like to just you to keep in mind when you hear this, that he was 28 years old. And I would just like invite you to try to imagine a context in your life where you would consider writing something like this before you even turn 30. So I'd just like to read now a selection of his basically final will and testament. This is Anas al-Sharif. This is my will and my final message. If these words reach you, know that Israel has succeeded in killing me and silencing my voice. First, peace be upon you and Allah's mercy and blessings. Allah knows I gave every effort and all my strength to be a support and a voice for my people. Ever since I opened my eyes to life in the alleys and streets of the Jabalia refugee camp, my hope was that Allah would extend my life so I could return with my family and loved ones to our original town of occupied Ascalon al-Majdal. But Allah's will came first, and his decree is final. I have lived through pain in all its details, tasted suffering and loss many times, yet I never once hesitated to convey the truth as it is, without distortion or falsification, so that Allah may bear witness against those who stayed silent, those who accepted our killing, those who choked our breath, and whose hearts were unmoved by the scattered remains of our children and women, doing nothing to stop the massacre that our people have faced for more than a year and a half. I entrust you with Palestine, the jewel in the crown of the Muslim world, the heartbeat of every free person in this world. I entrust with you its people, with its wronged and innocent children who never had the time to dream or live in safety and peace. Their pure bodies were crushed under thousands of tons of Israeli bombs and missiles, torn apart and scattered across the walls. I urge you not to let the chains silence you, nor borders restrain you. Be bridges towards the liberation of the land and its people until the sun of dignity and freedom rises over our stolen homeland. He continues, and I just like to say that he closes with, do not forget Gaza and do not forget me and your sincere prayers for forgiveness and acceptance. So, once again, I wish I didn't have to start the show on such a somber note, but I just want to keep those words of his in mind when I just, when you consider this ongoing carnage and the ongoing complicity of our government, and particularly politicians who are now looking for a way out of this. And by way out, I don't mean a stop to this, a way out for their own future political prospects and credibility. I mean, I'm thinking of Pete Buttigieg, who just appeared on Pod Save America this weekend, basically saying,
I think that we, as Israel's strongest ally and friend, you put your arm around your friend when there's something like this going on.
As Israel's closest friend, I think it's time for us to put our arms around them and say, hey, maybe this is too much. And I'm just thinking, imagine you had a friend who killed one person. Would it be a time for you to put your arms around them and say, I don't know, hey, what can we work on together to make this better?
like the Gillette commercial. Like if that commercial took place in Dachau and you're like, okay, enough's enough. I also saw Ruben Gallego, who just voted against the amendment, the Sanders amendment to suspend all arms sales to Israel. Well, he wasn't there for the vote and said he would have voted against it. But he said, well, actually, now I might have voted for it. Now, and I know that we've repeatedly referenced the, I think, very true sentiment that every day everyone will have been against this. But it's kind of shocking to see just how naked it is in real time. I mean, Buttigieg is an interesting insight because he's an obvious 2028 candidate, and he's trying to ride the fence of like not correctly identifying Joe Biden as the perpetrator of a genocide, while also, I guess, trying to acknowledge reality, but not really. I don't know how any elected Democrat, short of someone like Rashida Tlaib, can reconcile any of this.
Well, it's because like they're still trying to have it both ways. They still think that there's like some possible compromise or third way or nuanced, complicated position that they can hedge for themselves that will cover every angle of their ass in all future inevitabilities or outcomes. And there isn't. And like we all know this. Like, and we all know the reason that they've been killing. They killed Anas and his entire crew, another journalist and 3 photographers. Basically, I said like Al Jazeera's entire bureau in Gaza City. We all know why they killed them and why they've killed hundreds of other journalists before this. They're removing witnesses before they, engineer their final solution, before they engineer their occupation of Gaza City and the entire Gaza Strip and kill everyone in their way. We know this. They've been doing it openly, and they've claimed credit for this. So there's no need for an investigation into any of this. There's no need to ask them to, account for themselves. They are doing this all quite openly because they've gotten away with it here up to this point, and they expect that they will continue to get away with it. And I have no reason to think that they won't, given at least in the short term. And as far as someone like Pete Buttigieg who's auditioning for 2028, or any politician who wants to weigh in on this, I mean, the only way to stop this is at the very, very least a total economic, military, and cultural blockade of this feral genocide state. And very likely something much stronger than that. Military action of some kind. Like, at the very least, if you can't stop sending weapons to these mass murderers, then you saying, I think they've gone too far, or this is, quote, a humanitarian catastrophe, really doesn't mean anything. And you know it.
There's just no way to acknowledge reality and not conclude that we need some type of like occupation and reconstruction of Israel, frankly. That there's just no future where you can allow the people who did this to operate unsupervised in any part of the world.
Yeah, I just, I like I said, when you see and encounter the continued defenses of Israel or like the increasingly farcical lengths to which they have to go to maintain a lockstep policy in the United States of unequivocal support for everything it does. I mean, like, I'm thinking, like, I don't know if you saw over the weekend, they were arresting like 80-year-old pensioners and like blind people in wheelchairs in the UK for holding just a placard that says, I support Palestine action, arresting them off the street. And I guess like the maintenance of this consensus or the maintenance of this policy by Western governments will continue to require ever more farcical and totalitarian measures to basically restrain the will of the populations of these countries and the force of the moral opinion of the world. And like, I guess in some sense, I think you should be encouraged by the lengths which they continually will have to go to keep this going. And I think the only thing left for us is to force them to do it. Because if you see this and you don't use the freedoms that you currently have, like, you're not going to have them in the future. And I can't guarantee that you exercising them now is any protection against their future removal. But if you don't use them and you don't make these people do every last fucking thing that they do to criminalize any kind of protest, boycott, or just simple acknowledgement of reality, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, this is going to be a stain on all of us for as long as we live. This will be a stain on this country for as long as it lasts. Even just for purely selfish reasons, you do not want to remember this time and remember your actions in it. You don't want to remember yourself as having done nothing and having not exercised that option when you had the chance.
Like I said, I don't want to make the whole show about this, but I felt at the top of the show it was very, very important to read the last will and testament of a guy who in my opinion displayed like really unparalleled bravery and heroism in doing his job, being a witness and being a voice for the people of Gaza, and that's very much the reason he was killed. And yeah, I don't have much more to go off of than that.